And where are we at? And hold on. And we are back for episode club. This week is the big episode, Blackwater, episode 9. And joining me today are two guests who have joined us before, and one who is always here, as it seems. And I can't wait for them to introduce themselves so we can talk about this awesome episode, plus a little bit of news. But let's see who's on the panel with us today.
Ladies first, Ben. Clarissa.
Hi, I'm Clarissa Thompson. You may know me from Cylon Johns or Geek Chat One, and I'm happy to be here on an episode of Episode Club. It's been some time since I've been on, so hi everybody. Thanks for having me on, Mackenzie.
Very welcome. Go ahead.
And I am Ben, aka Sly House McLean from the podcast that drinks and knows things. Also, Sly the Tank Benjamin on YouTube here. You can find me out, like I said, podcast that drinks and knows things. Also, Citadel Trivia. I'm a host now every third week, so make sure you check me out there. Looking forward to this one. Been waiting for this episode for several months now to get on. So thanks, Ken, for getting me in on it. Appreciate it.
And I'm just along for the ride. I'm Johnny B. Crazy of Johnny B. Crazy. But you can also find me on the Cylon Johns and here all the time. And think I have a couple of streams coming up in the next day or two. So tomorrow's Vikings with Kenzie and Fire and Blood with John St. Baptiste. 1 p.m. Eastern for Vikings and 2 p.m. Eastern for Fire and Blood. Yep, there we go. That's it. Shameless self-promotion. Thank you so much for having me on, Kenzie. Yes, let's get into this episode. Boom.
No problem at all. But to start off, just a little bit of news. They've casted more people for the prequel, which is awesome. I haven't put the link in yet, but in the description will be the link of many that shows some of the casts that has been named. Some of them are people who have acted in things that we've probably seen before, like Jamie Campbell Bower, famous for being one of the people in Twilight and in apparently Crimes of Grindelwald, and a few others. And plus, more people of color have been added to the Game of Thrones roster, which is something that they slightly struggle with, but that's okay. And we got another 6-second clip, which, if you look on Twitter, causes a lot of controversy, so we can talk about that in another stream, but that's some news. And I guess the episode description, since we kind of did that last week, is Tyrion and the Lannisters fight for their lives as Stannis' fleet assaults King's Landing, is just the wiki version. And this episode actually came out the day before my birthday in 2012, which is kind of funny. But let's start. So the first scene that we see in this episode is pretty much Stannis. Stannis' army sailing towards King's Landing, and Davos and Mathos discuss pretty much everything from King's Landing to the Royal Fleet to Stannis and the Iron Throne and Davos' past, considering in King's Landing. So, initial thoughts. Whoever wants to go first. Whoever wants
All
to
right,
go.
I'll go. Since nobody else jumping on it. I like Dabs' line here. Those men are defending those walls. When they see you, they don't see your liberator. They see a man coming to set their home on fire. And of course, and right after that, Methodist goes, "Well, I believe in the Lord of Light." Motherfucker, what did your dad just tell you? These people believe you're going to burn their house, and that's all you can think about is your goddamn fire god. Okay, there's the problem right here. There's a lack of communication that you're just not hearing. I like that scene, though. Very nice father-son moment.
Death by fire is the purest death. Clarissa, what about the little onion root? Mathos.
I mean, from the beginning, when you see Mathos, he's, he's already fanatical about the fire gods. So, I don't know. It's just kind of more of the same to a certain degree. But the fact that he shares with his father that he has faith in him and that he believes in his captain, I thought that was a very nice moment. And considering what happens next, probably a good time to bring up that you still care about your dad, even though you got a little religion loopy. So, in my notes, I was just I was noting how the gods do seem to, or pardon me, God, the Lord of Light, does seem to come up, no matter the subject. God's willing, and then he has to correct Davos with, actually it's God willing, and then again to bring it up with the discussion with about the people of King's Landing, seeing them as invaders, seeing them not as liberators, but as people that are coming to sack their city. And how he shouldn't expect them to be congratulating them and welcoming them in the doors with open arms. Davos is very savvy that way. Despite his 20 years of absence from King's Landing, he still knows what's what.
Yeah, Mathos even says that they have 10-1 advantage in the army, but in reality, they only have like a 5-1 advantage. And I think they're coming with about 200 ships at that point, which I think is pretty cool. Ben, I saw you. I thought I saw you going for the mute, but no, he's going mad at me. Kenzie?
Yeah, because we didn't see really a lot of Mathos in the last couple of episodes. It's kind of just been Davos and Stannis, really. And he talks about, again, sorry, his smuggling past again in this episode. And you can kind of feel for Davos. It's like, if the gold cloaks were after you for 20 years, you wouldn't really want to go to the place that they are always, all the time. And yeah, his undying belief in Stannis, like, a whole bunch of other people, is just crazy. And yeah, the fact that they don't really know where the royal fleet is, because at this point still the royal fleet's kind of everywhere, and how he almost views Stannis as a god. That's a thing that Mel has been trying to put in Stannis' head for at least now pretty much a season, and will continue to do until he dies. So, crazy lady with crazy people equals
Very true.
Stannis.
I think, didn't Mel put some powder or something in the flames to make it where people saw things when she was doing the ceremony, if I'm not mistaken?
I think
she
probably
talked about having something for that.
I think it's probably like in the book it's more explained. I don't think it's outrightly shown in the show.
Not yet. I believe next season when she's talking with Celise, she's like, this powder here can make, visions in the fire come to life, and this powder here can make a man want you, whatever. So they kind of say that, she does have that ability, but they don't play it up per se.
Yeah, it's kind of like a short scene as the intro, but then we have Ben's favorite person in the entire show is in the next scene with Tyrion, and it's like they talk about how Stannis is coming and how like pretty much that Stannis is going to kill every single Lannister that he can find, and yeah, he's basically acting like he's almost a prisoner in his own fortress, in a sense. Like,
Yeah. He also jokes she can't bang her way out of everything, and I would disagree with that. She almost gets away. Ben, I want to hear your thoughts on my lion.
All right, so get ready. It's actually kind of a sweet scene. I don't. Yeah. She's lately, the last few episodes of Shay have not been absolutely horrible, cringe-inducing. Because most of the time she's dealing with Sansa, and her and Sansa, I like that dynamic. I think she's brought that a bit to the Tyrion area here, at least. Now, next season, yeah, you'll just have to see next season with Shay. But this season, she's actually not the worst. At least right now, this episode, it was a sweet scene where she's like, I care about you. I don't really want you to die, kind of thing. And so I can't hate on it. It's a good emotional scene for Tyrion. So better than her best Tyrion chase scene in the series. I'll give it that.
If he dies, she'd have to find the income somewhere else, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd agree with Ben on that. I mean, as I was watching this scene, sort of like going. First of all, it's been a while since I watched some of the earlier seasons. It's been some time, and sometimes I forget just how much you really feel for some of these characters in the scenes. And I totally got the feels in this scene for sure. Like, this is probably like the height of Tyrion and Shay being in love with one another. That, she's still absolutely dedicated to him. Has not felt rejected at this point. And so it's the best of both of them with one another. And I really like this scene. And I would agree with you, Johnny, the whole, you can't fuck your way out of everything. Pardon me. You can't bleep your way out of everything. And her saying, I have so far. I thought that was a great scene. Good touch of their compatible humor. I really, really enjoyed that scene very much for that.
Boom, boom. Oh, go ahead. I've already put in my 1.5 cents.
Well, the whole you can't find business somewhere else. Well, her business just showed up at the end of the episode. The next person just showed up at the end of the episode. So we have that. Yeah, Tyrion and Shay, it's kind of like at this point, because we know obviously what happens, she's still just like, hey, if it happens to, like, she's almost acting like, hey, if it happens to be your last night in this world, at least this is what you told me to do when you first met me. So yeah, that whole thing. And she's kind of becoming like a better character, even though she's deceiving as heck, especially with the dialogue later in this episode. But yeah, poor Tyrion. Like, okay. And yeah, imagine though, it's like, that imminent death is happening, but your side will probably win. Just like kind of a crazy psychological thing to deal with. But the next scene in this episode is Pycelle and Cersei. And Cersei's basically given Nightshade. And it's like, we don't know who it's for yet, if it's for herself, if it's for Tommen, if it's for somebody else. But yeah, Essence of Nightshade. GMP. My only thought on this was, when the heck did he get out of the Black Cells? I must have not been listening. That's my own thing. It's like, when did he get out of the Black Cells?
2 episodes ago. Last episode when she brought Roz in. She's like, I want the Grand Maester released and this and that. And he's like, you can have him. Fine. Let's Clarissa, if you'd like to start this scene.
Yeah, first of all, I haven't done this for a while. Are we spoiler free here? Okay.
Yeah, we're all the way up until new season and stuff, like season 8 plus. Yeah.
No. You can spoil. Spoilers are allowed.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're all the way up. Yeah.
So for anybody who, I love watching Pycelle in these earlier seasons after seeing some of the cut scenes that have been released over the years, and watching how Pycelle maneuvers in order to dig up information on what's going on around him. From the beginning, as he's stalling and he's, saying the one drop is efficacious for, what is it? He says calming the nerves. And then 3 drops will bring a deep and dreamless slumber. Is that what he says? He's trying to give Cersei an opportunity to talk about what she's doing. He wants to know the dirt. And it's so subtle, but he could have just said, here's that poison you asked for, but he doesn't. And at the same time, Cersei plays that other side so well when she finally dismisses him. She's, please do be careful on the stairs, Meister Pycelle. There are so many. That kills me every time. I've always liked the dynamic between Pycelle and Cersei, because she obviously hates him, but she plays the part, and he's obviously smarter than he lets on, which is also entertaining to watch in retrospect. So anyway, this whole episode is excellent, but this is a great scene, this Cersei and Pycelle scene, and I think it sets the tone for a lot of future Cersei and Pycelle scenes.
Yeah, I think the main reason she doesn't get rid of Pycelle because he's her father's cat's paw, in a sense. And Peter Griffin said that Pycelle's squat technique is spot on. So I'd like to throw that out there. Thank you, Peter Griffin. And yeah, we see this. This has happened a lot throughout history. If these notes can be correct, it was written off of Goebbels' wife killing herself and her children in World War II. I don't even like saying that, but go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, no, and kind of going to your point, Clarissa, I think she keeps Pycelle around too because he's easy to use. He's not dumb, but he's able to be manipulated very easily, to at least to her, because she knows he's all about Lannister, because he is her father's cat's paw. So I think that's another reason why she likes to keep him around, at least for now, until we get Qyburn, because Qyburn then is her person, and she doesn't give a shit about Pycelle because she doesn't respect him. I don't think she dislikes him, she just doesn't respect him, and it's kind of one of those of she doesn't need him. At least in her brain, she feels she doesn't need him. But the only thing about this scene, it made me think of the Futurama episode The Sting. 1 spoon will calm the nerve. 2 spoons will give you restful sleep. 3 spoons and you'll never wake again. That just it was just kind of spot on the nose, the way they were like kind of making it. Oh, it's okay, we get it. You think the show watchers are dumb? Okay, thanks. Yeah, kind of thing.
Yeah, ODing on Nightshade. It's like, just do that and you'll be fine.
Well, they give you the steps of how to do it this episode.
Pretty much just like
how much do you take? Watch Blackwater.
Yeah, how much did it take? Okay.
A 1, a 2, a 3.
Yeah, but what about like Pycelle doesn't go with like the what's between 1 and 2. What does it? How much is 2 or like 3 or 4? Like after 3, between 3 and 10, how much like should it be after that? Because that would be even funnier and more comical. Be like, well, 1 means this, 2 means this, 3 means this. The thing about this too
That's why I just heard HBO.
I know.
I did too.
I think it was Clarissa because it's not me.
No, it was mine. Sorry.
I don't know.
Mute.
HBO is after us. Yeah, the one thing about this too is it's implementing what she's going to use it for, and obviously it's not going to be Joffrey. It most likely will not be herself. It's to use it for Tom, and we can talk about this after. yeah, there's just using it for Tom, and pretty much will be why she has it. Anyway, the next kind of scene in this is we see Bronn, which is kind of hilarious that we have a Cersei and Bronn back-to-back scene, and more Lannister soldiers singing the Rains of Castamere, or the Lannister song, and the mood shifts once the Hound walks through, I guess, the room into the room that they're in, and yeah, they talk about the difference between like and love, and yeah, what do we think about this whole scene between these two pretty good fighters, I would say?
So our first instance of getting Bronn to sing just because we have Jerome Flynn and we need this fucker to sing. So I think that's the first instance of that. I love the line, "Don't feel bad for my nose. He'll be halfway up your ass by the end of the night." It's just smooth. That's just a smooth line right there. But this scene really does confuse me because I don't get the animosity between the Hound and Bronn, or the Hound's, animosity towards Bronn. Apart from Bronn just being the imp's man, the Hound really doesn't have anything to not like him for, and like come in all kind of angry about it. It just doesn't make sense to. I mean, I know the Hound's a dick, but it's like it doesn't really explain any reason behind that.
Makes perfect sense to me. I think about it simplistically. The Hound sees him as that's what he could be without his burnt up face. Kind of a mirror image of himself and what he could have, because he never really hangs around women. He doesn't like, especially in the books, he doesn't like people looking at his face. He's really self-conscious about it. This is earlier on in the series, and I think they were accentuating that because,
That's
like
fair.
you said, me and you are exactly alike.
Yeah,
We
no, that's
love to
actually
kill.
absolutely fair. Hadn't thought about it that way, but great point.
Clarissa completely disagrees.
I just see. I'm kind of, as soon as Ben said he didn't get it, I'm kind of in the same mind. And when I was watching the scene again, I was thinking to myself about the motivations. I mean, maybe the Hound is jealous, but that isn't the impression that I get, when he's saying how you're a hard man, the thing you love most is killing.
Not
You're
jealous.
just like
Sees
me.
himself
Well, but the
in
thing
him.
is like what is he judging Braun for? If he's not jealous of him for,
The Hound's judging
living the life
himself,
that
is what I'm saying.
the Hound is judging
It's
himself.
a form of projection. Yeah, he sees himself
Right.
in Bronn. He does not like it at all. That's what I think. I wouldn't like a version of myself. I know that much.
Maybe because he knows that Braun is like him and is perfectly fine with it. And the Hound is just like Braun, but doesn't like himself for it. Is that what you're getting at? He doesn't like that he's a killer. He doesn't like that he's hardened. He doesn't like that he's become what he's become. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a subconscious thing. That's not
Okay,
it's
that I
like
buy.
something that triggers you as soon as you see that. Like if you see someone and a lot of times you see someone instantly and you talk to them and you immediately don't like them, it's because you see a lot of yourself in them. Not all the time, but a lot of
I'm
times.
fabulous, so I don't know what that's like. But
But it's this subconscious thing is what I think. I don't think it's and the Hound in my opinion was scared.
well, yeah. But I'm gonna have to watch that scene with new eyes with that in mind. Because I hadn't considered that it was a self-loathing, and the fact that he resents that Braun is perfectly happy living that life and goes out and drinks and has women and has good time, whereas it's something that the Hound probably agonizes over. Hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, and that's a great point. But also, kind of going back to what me and Clarissa were saying too, he just, even without the, womanizing, the self-confidence thing, the Hound's like trying to play up the, oh, well, you're a killer and you like killing, you love killing, and this, and Braun's like, yeah, I mean, so you're like projecting this on me like you're wrong, but yeah, you're and your point is, it's kind of like, but I did like how Braun was like, one more drink before the fighting begins. And so he was like, okay, let's squash this and let's go. And later on, we see the kind of buddiness pop in, so, but yeah, it was an interesting scene with those two.
Yeah.
Take a shot.
Take a shot. The one thing that when I first rewatched this, I was like, that's the girl that like Baelish had whatever, like one of the Septons like play with. After I guess it was Roz who wasn't able to like do her job.
Wipe her mouth, huh? Ugh.
Yeah, it was like the one where they wiped the mouth and then walked away. And yeah, the thing when they're like, how do you know the reigns of Casimir? Like one of the Lannister soldiers is like, because of drunk Lannister soldiers. And it's one of the things like, so he's been hiding in this camp for a while, and it's not because it's been only a season, but I feel like it's been longer than that, even maybe potentially. Secret reign theories and all of this stuff out there. But yeah, the thing with the Hound and I guess Braun in this is because gotta have two named characters have like a conversation. But there's also the point where Braun almost pulls a dagger onto the Hound. It's just like holding behind his back, his arm behind his back with his dagger. So he was ready to do something to the Hound.
Yeah, the Hound would ate that like a chicken. Braun should have went Arrow Flynn on him and just did a backflip and shot him with a bow and arrow. That's what he would have had to do.
Yeah. Sasuke in the chat mentioned that she didn't like how they made the Hound talk about loving, killing more than once in the episode. Like that was his only lines, just kept getting repeated over and over again. And
Classic lover and a fighter.
Julianne also made the comment of, I thought maybe because Braun gets paid it can change loyalties, but the Hound got stuck with the Lannisters out of stupid loyalty, but also because Clegane is a bannerman, I believe, of House Lannister. So there's that. My opinion probably on this, since we all gave our opinion, is probably that they're both two men that serve technically Tyrion, or / the Lannisters, and they're almost like conflicting sides, in a sense, but they obviously come together in the end, and that they kind of need scenes like this to connect two minor characters. But if they knew more about one another, it'd be cool. But yeah, I do also see that the Hound feels like could have been Ron, because if he wasn't if the Hound was a sellsword, he might have been placed, I guess, in Tyrion's rank as Bronn was, maybe, because the connection that Bronn and Tyrion have would have been probably very similar to the. And look who it is also too. We're talking about the Hound, and Nancy T shows up, so her favorite character is the Hound. So nice of Nancy T to pop by, but yeah, it's just the Hound. He does crazy shit in this episode, and he is a mood come later in this episode with the whole wine talk. But yes.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, Sasuke says that Sandor has been stuck with the Lannisters since he was around 12. And he was Cersei's shield before she was Joffrey's. Yeah, he had to deal with Cersei. Oh man, that can be a little bit of a touchy thing.
Yeah, it's slightly forced, and he deliberately didn't want to be a knight because he knows knights are pieces of shit because his brother's a knight. He hated he hated knights ever since he played with a toy knight and got a little wildfire for it. So, yeah, and I think the only way the Hound can express anything is through anger. That's it. And I don't see him able to express his emotions in any other way. And we see a progression of that throughout the show where we actually start to. I think he smiles in season 7. And it's one of the few times we ever see the Hound actually smile. So, yeah, go ahead. That's all I got to say about that.
Mhm. Yeah, Nancy T, the Hound, she says, "That's my boyfriend." So, yeah, he gets no gold, yeah, for what he does for the Lannisters. Yeah, but he's almost not on the side of the Lannisters, really, in the end. Especially Buck the King. Yeah. Any more on this? Because the Hound does come up multiple times in this episode. Because then we talked about Varys and Tyrion with Pod. So Varys and Tyrion pretty much discuss the bells and Varys shows a map of King's Landing while we figure out what Pod's like real name is in this. I don't think they've ever mentioned it.
Podrick?
Yeah.
Is it? Yes.
Well done. Well done. Like you don't know every boy's name in this damn city.
Why, Tyrion, I do declare. No.
Exactly right.
I'm not entirely sure I know what you mean.
Especially some from a prominent house of House Payne. Yeah, and yeah, well, they discuss a lot of things, and they discuss power and trusting. And
So why don't you give your thoughts on the Lord of Light and Varys hating magic in this point, and is this slight foreshadowing scene of them betraying Dany for the greater good, so to speak, later? They'll make people blow up here.
All the Dany fans will come after me. Well, they already do, so that's fine. Yeah, they talk about Mel and the dark arts and how Mel is pretty much, for Stannis, represents the Red God or the Lord of Light, and that she presumably does dark magic, and that a person who's involved in the dark arts shouldn't be a ruler. It's like Dany does dark arts, blood magic for one. When she births her dragons, that's blood magic. And a few other times she uses blood magic. But then they also talk about trusting who and what you know. Tyrion, of course, over 2 seasons now, has been able to trust Daenerys. So much so that he is her hand. But that, I don't know, because he was still trying to undermine her while she was away in when she was captive with the Dothraki. So I don't know. He even tells Mel in season 7 that it's like, I know Jon Snow and I trust him, and I'm an excellent judge of character. And he trusts whatever Jon Snow says without any real proof. So there's a possibility, and because there's a theory out there that Tyrion and Varys, when Varys is like, you need to find a way to make her listen. Easiest person, because she's right there and she's talked about Jon Snow, to influence him to be like, hey, with her. So why not? What do you think?
I would argue the point that you made about Tyrion undermining Dany. I don't think that he undermined Dany any more than Ned undermined Robert in season 1, or at least that was what D&D I think were going for. I think they were going for Tyrion meets Ned Stark in a situation where he thinks that the person he's serving is being a fool. But I don't think he undermined her. I think he was just making decisions that he felt were best for her realm, for her kingdom. Because he was the one in charge at the time, so he had to make his call. He's not her. He can't make her call because he's not her. So he had to make his call because he's him. But
Well, the slave thing, reinstating slavery, would be technical undermining, and yes, Ned undermined Robert, in my opinion. It might have been the right thing to do, but he undermined him for damn sure. But you know, just my thought.
I'm just saying he didn't do it any more than Ned did to Robert.
No, and no more than Davos did to Stannis. When you're the Hand, you have to take steps that you feel are the right direction for your ruler, even if they might not agree. So I don't know if he, in that instance with reinstating slavery, I don't think he undermined her. It was just he did what he felt needed to be done. Yeah, he more undermines Joffrey and Cersei tenfold than he ever does to Dany. I will say that.
The only argument what I would say is the only core principle Dany really had at that point was no slavery.
The only core,
whether she was making, I'm not saying Dany had a lot of core principles at this point.
I was gonna make a smart ass comment.
Go ahead.
The only core principle Dany had is my name's Targaryen. I have dragons. That's her only core principle. But sorry, you are correct, John. You are correct, Johnny. Sorry.
She's the Iron Throne's hers by blood, and until she finds out about Jon, and until Varys finds out about Jon, I think that's going to be a big indicator of something that's going to happen. If Varys has an opportunity to choose a better ruler, he will. Not saying it's going to happen, but it's a definite opportunity, and we don't know that Dany's going to change for the sake of her love for Jon. Is she going to accept people talking shit to her face while she's in Winterfell? Because that's going to happen. Is she just going to sit there and take it? Or is she going to be the dragon's daughter? Right? These are things you have to ask. And Clarissa, I see you wanting to talk so bad.
No, I just had this mental image in my head of like people walking up and being all, can we swear on here, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
Are we 19 plus? I could just see people walking into Winterfell. Fuck the queen!
No, they're just gonna bring that guy from King's Landing that during Cersei's walk. Fuck off.
But back to the scene. I think that this is an example of the writing that they had for Pycelle, or pardon, not for Pycelle, for Varys, that I think is lost in some of the later seasons. Like Varys is so flowery with his enunciations and his choice of words. He just, everything about him is just a little bit more extravagant and mysterious, and I think we lose that as we get a little further into the series. And I love this scene for how Varys was and how terrified he looks, like genuinely like he's gonna cry. I loved that scene for Varys. I thought that was a really good scene.
And now remember this about this episode, because I know exactly what you're talking about, because we see this again in The Climb, where Varys is very well spoken, has very great speeches, both written by George Martin. So when George can dictate what Varys is saying and what all the characters are saying, it comes out so beautifully and so well done. And I absolutely agree with you, because the later seasons, we don't get a George Martin episode. I think after season 5, he doesn't write anymore for the show. And so we don't get those well-spoken, very, reserved kind of interactions. Like this one has a great line from Varys to Tyrion. I don't think you entirely trust me. And Tyrion with, don't take it personally, I don't entirely trust myself. Only George could write something like that for these characters and make it just seem so cool. And like, you're damn right, but
instead we get I had to throw your shit. Oh, I'm just the man that had to throw your shit overboard. That's what we get later.
Yeah. Or where's my niece and nephew? Let's go kill them. It's like, I mean, just
can it just be implied that he's gonna do it.
Yeah.
You know, are we that dumb as viewers? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, agreed. You know, and so that's kind of the, you know, where I'm kind of going with it. My point also to this scene is you can tell from this scene here, there's a shit ton more to Varys that we don't know about because we've only had small interactions. He's being nice to Ned. He's working with Tyrion through this season, but there's a lot deeper stuff to Varys that will come out. But unfortunately, it never really does. Yeah, at least in the show. You know, we don't get that great satisfaction. We get this background story and we get a couple little things here and there. But I really think George here meant for Varys to be a lot bigger of a player or impact than he actually became show-wise.
Yeah, I feel like he's gonna put the person on the throne at the end of the book. In a way, it's gonna be through his actions.
I agree. He'll be a queen/kingmaker.
Yeah, they've got, well, especially since they haven't implemented the Fagon character. Yeah, since they haven't implemented Fagon into the show, or Aegon, that once the realization of who Jon is finds out, I can see Varys being like slipping notes and be like, "Here, I'll support you, even though you don't want it. So I don't need it." You really don't want it, but I feel like that's what's gonna happen in this. And yeah,
Because Varys knows how many bowel movements Danny takes a week. You know, he has everything written down. That's something that's not really been accentuated at all, to y'all's point. And yeah, I really hope they play the Game of Thrones a little more. I know it's supposed to be this war, but it's still I don't know.
Because especially in this scenes, in these couple scenes, we see that Tyrion's character and Varys' character have gone very flat because of they have to raise the Jon characters and the Dany characters much higher than they are. So it's like their characters have just been like, I go from here to here, and I say maybe one scene by myself, rather than them commanding like the presence and commanding the scene. So can't wait to see what happens with this in the later bit. But like you said, judging about the whole thing with Dany, Davos brings that up later. He's like, yeah, Lord Varys knows what you had for breakfast 3 days ago. So, like, he knows shit because he is the master of whisperers. But before I kind of get to that, we have Tyrion and Bronn say their kind of goodbyes of sorts. And Tyrion meets with his future wife, and with Shay, and then Sansa has to meet with Joffrey, of course, before he goes off to battle, so we can kind of talk about that.
Can I just say in between that, Matho says they're ringing the bells, welcoming the new king. This guy was born yesterday, literally. Go ahead.
I've never heard him ring the bells for surrender. Yeah, my only note with that Mathos and Davos scene really quick is how badass would it be to be a drummer on one of them ships? Just fucking bringing out some funky beats. I literally had to slow. I usually watch the episode like 2.5 times speed. I'm like, nope, slow that down for that one because I want to hear that beat. Anyway.
And well, yeah, the drums, man, and we were talking about Tyrion and Bronn.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, like the whole Tyrion, Bronn, and then Tyrion, Shay, Sansa, and all that, like that.
Sansa, Hound, Joffrey.
Yeah, he's. I don't know. It's kind of touching. You can see Bronn always trying to never get close to anyone. And before that, Tyrion got his famous battle axe, which he received earlier in the books. The classic line of "You'll be unstoppable with that." I seen you kill a man with a shield. I seen what you could do with a shield. You'll be unstoppable with an axe. That's what he says, and it's pretty fitting. I know in the books, I love Tyrion's battle scenes. They're just pretty incredible because the crazy shit he does, impaling people. Impelling a horse with a spike on his helm. I don't know. Whatever. I just had to gush about that for a second. Go ahead, Clarissa.
Well, I mean, Tyrion in the books is much more acrobatic than Dinklage plays him on the show. I mean, right from the first episode or book, you know, the whole jumping down from the ramparts in Winterfell, doing a somersault in the air and landing on his feet, you know. Obviously, they're going to be a lot. His fight scenes are probably a lot better in the books, and
He just
they're
stood
going to
up
be
with
on
his helmet
screen.
on and stabbed the horse. He didn't really do anything but stand up and thrust up a
Hiya!
little bit. He got lucky. He just got lucky a bunch. That's what's good about it.
I love this scene because the warmth between Bronn and Tyrion is fantastic. As much as they are very much their characters and they behave very much as you would expect. You know, the humor between them shows that there actually is a friendship there. And I think that the exchange between Tyrion and Sansa really is the first. Well, it's not the first, but it's definitely a glimpse in which you see that, like, Tyrion's really the only one who gets what Sansa's capable of and sees that she has strengths and skills when everybody else seems to talk to her like she's a stupid girl. And in many ways, she is. She's just a little girl. But he knows that, okay, this girl's a survivor. She's going to do what it takes
She's
to.
gonna kiss Hot Eater.
Oh my God. Why did you say that in your Baelish name, in your Baelish voice?
Sansa, would you like to kiss Hot Eater for Joffrey? I'll get you out of here, I swear.
Ew,
And I could
I
break
don't want to
marriage
know
for
a
you.
Littlefinger named Heart
I
Eater.
know this kid. His name's Ramsay Bolton. He's fantastic. You'll love his parents. It's called Ben.
Hi, Microfinger. Hi. Do you want to go on a hunt?
Micro finger.
So, Sansa fucking kills this scene. I love the Tyrion Bronn interaction. It's very funny. Bronn's got the great line of been spending time with folks who go to fancy lad school, you know. But Sansa first with the "I'll pray for your return," and Tyrion's like, "Really? Just as much as I pray for the kings." Oh, go fuck yourself. You know, that was kind of the look like Tyrion gave her, like, damn it. All right. But then she's sticking it to the fucking little shit Joffrey about fighting. She's like, so you fight like Rob, so you'll be in the vanguard, right? You'll be up front. Well, I don't know. I'll be where the people. Oh, well, you know, my brother Rob, you know, he's always out front. And it's like, yeah, go out front. Go get yourself killed, dick. You know, but then finally the quip about, you know, the worst ones always make it back. She's like, you know, Shade's like, oh, you know, he could die. She's like, no, not Joffrey. The bad ones always live. And just like from beginning to end, this was Sansa's scene.
Exactly.
Yeah, go ahead, Sansa. Yeah, what I was thinking is not appropriate. Probably.
Okay. Yeah, with Tyrion and Bronn, it's kind of just like they say they're potential goodbyes because obviously they don't know what's going to happen in the next couple hours with battle. And when obviously Tyrion meets with Sansa, it's because she's by her, like she's with Shay, but she's like by herself, not really like protected or anything, because she's still technically Joffrey's wife or his wife to be. Sorry. So it's kind of weird. But she's hustling between her room and the hall where Cersei has kept all the women and the children. But yeah, when she has that moment of just as I pray for the kings, and Tyrion is taken aback for a second. He's just like, you're gonna pray for me? Like, no one would pray for me. Everybody, since pretty much the moment he's been born, his father, Cersei, has pretty much wanted him to die. So the fact that he's being prayed for or thought about in a protective aspect is makes me like, oh, like hit you in the feels. And the fact that he has to pretend to not know Shay's name in this is like,
is it Sheena?
Like, is it Sheena? Is it like Sarah? Something like, if it was funnier, if it was like a Walder Frey, like Walra, Walda, like they're going through a list of names and then it's like, oh wait, Shay? Question mark? Like would have been like the icing on the cake for this.
He's all like the butter.
like the oil that you rub on your skin, you know.
It's very moisturizing.
Like the shitty Met Stadium.
Yeah. And then yeah, like the whole
He says a little too much, it seems like, for people to hear as well.
Mhm.
I don't know why Tyrion didn't just slap her right there, like he did Joffrey. Hey,
like
don't touch me.
like slap slap slap. And obviously when Sansa goes and talks to Tyrion, not talks to Tyrion, talks to Joffrey with the Hound, and she's like, I've named it Hardy, da 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 da. It's like, oh god, it's like that sword is just normal castle forged steel. It's not significant. So I was like, because I was like trying to remember what the sword's name was before it was talked about. I'm like, oh yeah, it's not important because it's not Valyrian steel.
What was his first sword's name?
Can't even remember now. Even though we thought about it, probably can't even remember now.
I believe it's Lion's Tooth or Lion's Claw, one of the two. I can't remember exactly. I believe it's Lion's Tooth.
I thought it was Pussy Willow.
Oh man. And when she talks to him, because she knows like the level of sass that she can get with him, and it frustrates Jock. He's like, like when she's like, what did she? Like something about the praying, and she goes really sass. It's like, oh, you're right. I'm stupid. Like I'm a girl. I'm stupid.
You think I'm gonna discuss battle tactics with you? You know, it's just
Like you're right. I'm stupid. Like people have said in here, it's where I think John said it was like when she starts to play more of the game and starts to like manipulate because she can know how, because she kind of takes Joffrey as far as she can take it before he obviously goes to battle, which is kind of funny. And then you see the Hound just like waiting to see, is like, do I have to hit her or like try and make someone like go and hit her, but he doesn't obviously. And it's the mentioning of the line of when toxic, the worst ones always die last. So I think for BBM out there, Cersei confirmed not to stay alive until the end of
She's
season 8.
gonna ride off into the green sunset right there.
Like green. She'll take a whole bunch of wildfire with her when she leaves.
With baby Thomas Joffrey.
Thomas Joffrey with some other like name in there. Then obviously the men go to the battlements, meaning Lancel, Tyrion, Joffrey, and the Hound, and the whole tell the Hound to tell the King to get scene happens, like playing failing at the telephone tag, and then they talk about Davos talking about how Varys knows things that you don't think he would know about. And then I guess we can lump in the Shay and Sansa discuss Cersei, and then like Cersei scenes with Sansa in this whole bit. The funny one, Lancel, tell the Hound to tell the King to say this when they're literally all in one kind of square. Just makes me laugh all the time. Go ahead.
Yeah, Clarissa.
I just gotta say, you know, like in season 2, I just constantly found myself going, poor Lancel. Like he's just like ping, 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 ping. He is not the master of his own destiny by any stretch of
He's
the
also not the master
imagination.
of his own domain, little twat.
No, he would have been better off joining the Brotherhood without banners or something. No, that means no wonder he joined a cult when you treat a kid like that, like crying out Christmas. But when they had him out in the battlefield later on, I mean, until he got shot, he was good. But anyway.
Yeah, like 15 seconds. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't bad. I was looking at it. It wasn't bad. But when he got shot, he goes, ah!
Oh, totally. He's like, ah!
The worst thing Lancel did was not die from that arrow. I'll put it that way. No, actually, I take that back. I like late season Lancel. Early season Lancel is just a twat.
No, that's that whole scene is essential. Otherwise, he wouldn't end up inside the Red Keep talking to Cersei with her kicking his ass as he's in full armor. Which I find hilarious.
All right, I will get to it. We'll get to that one. But with this scene, Tyrion's got the line of the night: "Is if you cut me in half, I'll just be a quarter man." That's not really that inspiring. It's
like, and they'll put your pinch little head up on a spike.
Yeah, and actually, it's not the line of the knife. That's just a funny quip. Line of the knife's coming up in about 3 scenes.
So. Right. But I find it really. I love how Tyrion continues just to like take the piss out of Joffrey in front of everybody, like with swords drawn and arrows and shit, and he's just like, "Fuck you, kid." It's priceless, and the whole time Joffrey just like,
oh, he's
so pissed,
freaked out.
so
he's
funny.
freaked out too. Oh man, it's
he's
like,
shitting his pants.
We didn't get the Antler Man, which was written into the script. So was the chain. They had to cut it for budgetary reasons. But yeah, Joffrey was going to catapult the Antler Man out there in the show. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, that would have been good. They could have done one that cheap. Yeah.
Because I think Heart Eater kind of is a nod toward Maegor the Cruel, who cut Tyne of the Tower's heart out of his chest, if I'm not mistaken. And the way he acts is, he's like, I don't know, he's like a bitch ass Maegor. The other 2 things you want to talk about, well, the rest was
yeah, we can kind of talk about
and Shay and Cersei. Yeah. You want to do all that and then do the battle at the end?
Yeah.
Okay.
So with that one, I'm not thirsty. I didn't offer you water. Now drink. And it's just, that's kind of the secondary line of our show. It's like, drinks and nose. It's like, you're not here because you're thirsty. Come on. And I'm not drinking alone.
Yeah. Or like the thing of, don't, like when you start our show, just don't start with water. You start with, it's a guest requirement. You're not allowed water. Nope. You have to have something.
Unless you're on like a strict, kind of sober thing. It's like, we'll make exceptions. But if you're not, you better have a damn drink with you.
Yeah, something that's not water, like the Hound says later. But Johnny, go ahead. You're gonna say something that
What? No, I'll chime in when I want to. I mean, I can. This whole time, Sansa's leading her prayers, and Cersei is just studying her, smirking, like, you're just perfect, aren't you? And Sansa goes in a whole speech about how great she is. Oh, you're doing this for all these people. It's just, and Cersei tells her true. This is one of Sansa's mentors. Like it or not, she learns more from Cersei than she ever did her actual mother. Unfortunately. And this scene to me just kind of epitomizes that. And go ahead, Clarissa.
Just as you were saying that, I'm just like, because, okay, Sansa listening to Cersei. I know that this is later on in another scene, but it's the same, thread of the story. The whole spiel about there's the weapon between your legs is one that's at your disposal. And
that's
I'm
an interesting picture you got after you say that.
Yeah, you're
your picture just went straight pink, like this pink it's ribbed and pink. So whatever that means. Oh, we're back.
Yeah, no, I don't know why it switched to my photo. I didn't put it there. But anyway, I wear a lot of pink. But anyway, back to the subject. The whole portion of this speech where she's telling Sansa what when you're a woman in power, you have to exercise the power you have in every means necessary. And my brain was all like, fast forward to season 8, and Sansa seeing John and Dany, and what is going to be going through her head when she's thinking about Dany's motivations and what Dany's using to get her way.
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, this is a Cersei lesson.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing, like Cersei, because that's really the only weapon Cersei's ever had. She's always thought she's the more cunning, the smart. No, she's only been the hot chick that people want to bang. That's literally the only arrow in her quiver. And so she looks at Sansa as, this is the only thing, because you're just a dumb little girl. You're just like I was, because I'd prayed. I believed all the singers. I believed I was going to marry the prince and all this. And then look what happened to me. I got sold off. And even Sansa's
didn't she murder a little girl at like 9 years old though by pushing her down the well? I don't know if they had the same thing.
Right after Megan the
I'm
Frog.
messing with it.
Yeah,
but I'm saying Cersei looks at her as the dumb little girl. I'm not saying that she thinks she's as good as her, but she looks at her as the dumb little girl like she was. And so she's like, this is the only weapon you're gonna have. This is the only so make sure you use it and everything like that. And it's like, no, not everyone is as dumb as you. It's you've gotten lucky with everything in your life and you just don't realize. Talk about white privilege. Talk about just privilege of beyond belief. You've gotten everything because of your name and what you look like. That's it. Because and for example, Tywin tried to sell off Tyrion over and over and over again. No one would take him because he doesn't look good. Second person he offered you to was accepted. There you go. Because it's like you were good enough looking that you can be sold off. So now you're kind of losing that and you have nothing to fall back on. And I think she's really realizing it here, especially when she starts drinking. That's the second scene in the Red Keep here that we get when she gets about 4 bottles in.
Yeah, it's not that hard to get over being called Lyanna in the sack.
Right.
Oh, yeah, dude, that's gotta suck.
Especially it's the first time it's probably her first time that she's like had obviously sex with Robert, and it's like, yep.
Yeah, but in fairness, he was probably too drunk to remember her calling him Jamie, so.
Very true. Yeah, it's like they've created like alter ego, like pet names almost. Yeah, when Cersei sees that Sansa's there, obviously she's kind of just like, little dove, like, because she's already started drinking, obviously, because it doesn't take Cersei long, it seems, to get drunk. It's like, little dove, I'm like, little dove. And she got like so many people, and she's like, oh yeah, they're gonna talk about how like when that they're brave, that my bravery for saving all of them, for them and making them feel empowered when when obviously Stannis doesn't win, and all that. It's kind of funny, and she also like is like blatantly just as like, has your period finished yet? Because you look pale, and it's like because you're like bleeding a lot. It's like, and while the men bleed out there, you'll just sit here and bleed in here with everybody else. It's just like the sass that Cersei has, and like we talked about. It was my first video was Sansa's the younger, more beautiful queen that Cersei has to worry about, and she's giving her enough tips to get put her on her way, and because since obviously never experienced a siege before, so it's like, this is what's going to happen, and you have to fear the enemy. You have to make the people fear you more than they fear the enemy, and she's kind of taken that into consideration. And most definitely, like, if you have seen the clip that's come out, the 6 seconds where she is like, Winterfell is yours, your grace, she is not doing what she technically should be doing, which is coming up from a curtsy, technically, and saying Winterfell is yours, your grace.
I did see a great meme from that. It says, Winterfell is yours, your grace, and Dany's like, thank you. And it cuts back to Sansa. I was talking to John.
Mm,
And it's
yeah,
like, ah,
exactly. Yeah. It's like because if the sibling not reveal has been like the cousin reveal, I should say, has been told to them beforehand, most definitely can be a thing. Also, uh, John technically was king before he left, so yeah, there's a whole bunch, and most definitely when she's also dealing with Baelish later on, it's very much like when Cersei was dealing with him, when she was trying to find Arya. It's like power is power, and then holding a knife at his throat and all of that stuff. So she's learning most definitely about what it means to be a ruler, what it means to be a queen, and ooh, sweet justice if it's the one that Sansa she gets to take over for Cersei in the end, which would be kind of funny. But yeah, they talk about the men and how pretty much they'll be raped if Stannis wins and stuff. But
yeah. So do we want to talk about the second part? Like,
yeah,
kind
I
of
guess so.
encompass everything.
I guess
So,
so.
yeah, it's not much to it, but yeah, she does go into the if the castle should fall, I suppose these women would be in for a bit of rape. It's like, really? A bit of rape? Is that it? But thinking back on it, she really doesn't know Stannis. Because this is the same part where she's like, if it was anybody else, I'd meet Stannis at the gates and I might ask for a one-on-one and persuade him. And I'm not talking about her not knowing him that way, but she should know that Stannis is that diehard, will not let women be raped. Like, that is one, like, they'll ransack, they'll steal, they'll burn the shit down, but he will not let his men, come in and, rape these innocent women. Now it may happen, it may still happen a little bit, but if they're found out, his men know that they will pay the price for it. So that is one thing I give Stannis credit for on that aspect, but I guess his enemies don't know that, or at least Cersei may know it, but she's using it as a scare tactic, to everybody else.
Yeah, I also think that if Stannis were to take the castle, that Ilan Payne's orders were to kill Sansa, more than likely.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's no purpose for that. And that was just probably a show. More than likely, maybe they'll get raped. But it depends who really comes upon them, honestly. It's not like a given at this point. But it is the nature of the beast, so it's hard to say that. But she was definitely trying to scare Sansa.
That wine they were drinking must have been on the weak side. I remember when I was first watching this episode in season 2 when it came out, and I don't know, a bunch of you probably already know this, but I was a bar bouncer for like 8.5 years, and at the time this episode came out, I'd been in the business for about 5 years. And I remember thinking to myself as I watched the scene, as I continually watched her drink glass after glass of wine, um, you know, Lena Headey, she played it just drunk, but not like as drunk as you would be if you'd had that much wine, you know. She definitely skirted that line of inebriation, but she was still able to express herself and enunciate clearly for people to understand, because man, she would have been like, little Duff,
Well,
come here.
in her defense,
Come here. Come here. I got something to tell you, okay? They're gonna rape you, okay?
She's a seasoned alcoholic in the books, though.
Yeah, and that's where I was gonna go with.
But the control.
Well, yeah, and again, not to hype up my own stuff. Look, if you watch some of our episodes, there are times where I've gotten rip roaring drunk and watched back and like talk to people and they're like, I didn't even know you were drunk. What? I mean, I would like fall down, and I'm not proud of it. Luckily, I did it from my house and I didn't have to go anywhere. But it's one of those, like, I thought I was sounding like a complete moron and everything like that, but it came out. It was like, hey, so it's one of those, you can even shock yourself of how well, once you've been practiced enough, how well you can handle. Now, there's been other times to go back and watch our season 7 recap. Holy shit, you can't even understand a word I'm saying. So that was before we got practice on it. But so just in her defense, she's practiced at this. So, but I did I like the hair disheveled, like that second scene. Her hair is a little bit disheveled. Like you can tell she's been kind of scratching. She's looking a little worse for wear, just from the fear from the
her bronze gilded breastplates slightly unbuckled.
Right. Yeah. So you can tell it's very subtle, not subtly played, but it's well played, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it very easily could have gone way the other way. Bet you're happy for your red flower now.
I don't know. If she was mixing it with some Westerosi uppers that Master Pycelle gave her, she might could have evened out the alcohol. And
right. She's got the red dragon going,
Woo! Battle party!
But as that's the case, Sarah says her liver's the true soldier of this episode.
Hashtag liver warrior.
John says to me, Clarissa, you've never drank wine with me. I can't wait to drink wine with you one day, John. I look forward to that day. You are going to laugh your ass so hard because I'll have one glass and I'll be, woo! You're just going to be like, amateur.
Amateur.
John have 4 bottles on the floorboard. You're all of a sudden taking a trip to Vegas, all the way from Con in Tennessee. Then you have no choice but to pick up a box of wine at the only convenience store on Route 66. All these crazy adventures happen.
In St. Louis. Just come through St. Louis. I got your hookup. You come right down 66, right through St. Louis. You're good. All right. Back on track here.
Oh, not that one. No, I'm good.
There's she also talks about how pretty much that because Sansa is a virgin, that she's basically a slice of cake that's just waiting to be eaten, and that whoever deflowers her in that aspect will obviously have great fun, but also that she should be thankful for the fact that she won't father a bastard because she has her period. But I think scientifically you can still get pregnant. I don't know. But yeah, they don't know that much, but that's okay. The fact that she is talking to Shay after this because Shay is like, there's like, who's this? And just like Shay, and the fact that she tells us she's from, I can't remember the name. It's escaping me right now, but there's
Lorath.
Lorath. Yeah. And, they did it on purpose because there's really no history on the place, not much. So they did that on purpose with a couple of characters.
And she's like, I only had one handmaiden once that was from there, but she was highborn. So how did someone who was obviously lowborn in 10 years go from where they were to the Red Keep? And it questions the validity. She did something, and she got all the way there.
Yeah, this is the start of where Cersei starts to figure out who Shay is and how she was wrong about Raz.
Yeah. Raz.
And how does Shay know that Stannis won't hurt Sansa? I know she knows Ellen Payne will, but she seems to know for sure Stannis won't hurt her.
Because she looks at it as Sansa is a Stark, and Stannis has that respect. Like she might not know, but she has a feeling like Stannis is at least honorable enough. She's heard through the grapevine that Stannis is honorable and that Sansa would be safe in his hands to a point.
Then it's bad writing to say she didn't know how to curtsy then?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's just that much?
Writing.
Okay.
Yeah, agreed. With the Sansa Shay, like I said, we learned she was from Lorath. And we learned about why Ellen's really there. And so it was a good scene again for Sansa, or for Shay, being that big sister role to Sansa. As I've said this whole season of this part, I have like this aspect of Shay having the wits about her to protect her and send her off, get her out of there as fast as she can. Because It's one that just needed to, happen for her. At least give her some redeeming qualities, just not a funny whore.
Yeah. And even with Cersei, like almost Cersei's kind of the better mother that Sansa had in a respect, because a couple episodes ago it was Cersei talking to Sansa about what it's like to bear a child and have her periods and all of this stuff, and it's like I don't know if Catelyn really talked to her about that quite yet, or just waited until it happened and then talked about it, and then talked about like what happens in the siege and stuff. So we're just stuck between two really psycho-ish mothers. That gets the mother-in-law and the this crazy mother, but hey, she learns valuable lessons, which will come up again in season 8 for sure. That was my final note on that.
Kind of like that sex ed teacher who's also your volleyball coach.
Yeah, the gym teacher, but it's also like something else at the same time.
Who, in fairness, probably hasn't had sex in 30 years.
Mean Girls, it's like the whole Mean Girls thing. Like, don't have sex because you'll get pregnant and die. Like, I know.
So, is this the only time in the series that we hear mention of Lorath? We don't hear about it ever again, do we?
As Sasuke said in the show, Jaqen was from Lorath as well. Jaqen Hagar.
But did they mention that in the show? Or only in the book?
Ooh, good point.
I think it's only in the books that they mention
No,
it.
Shay is Westerosi in the books.
No, Shay's foreigner in the books.
No, I'll show you. She's actually Westerosi in the books. It never actually says where she's from.
Because I thought the foreign line was an actual book quote. I very well could be wrong then.
How could it not say where she's from and her be Westerosi at the same time?
Yeah.
That's all they know.
I mean, she lives there, but...
Yeah. I don't know.
In the book, Shay isn't actually from the Free Cities at all. She's just a camp follower of the Lannister army. It has never gone into detail, but she is from Westeros.
Sussex says, I'm pretty sure she's from Essos in the book.
Well, people saying she's Volantis.
Like Volantis.
It's like House Magor.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Or Mygare, or whatever, however the fuck you pronounce it.
Doesn't. According to this, it doesn't.
She's from France.
How's Mygare? Oh yeah, that'll be great next episode when Talissa's reciting the words of the seven. Oh yeah, it's like, how do you fucking know that? Anyway, yeah, Shay questions. AU says we are so bad.
Yeah, we kind of are.
Nah.
That's all right.
We're unprofessional. That's fine. Okay. Yeah. All I have to, the last thing that I had for this is drunk Cersei is a mood. And she's everybody at some point in their life. But
Little Dove, come here.
Yeah. Little Dove, come here.
Come here, Little Dove.
Lancel dares raise his voice to her.
She's like,
and did that.
I'll tell you what.
This is Sparta.
Like, I tell you what. But Stannis' ships are approaching, and Joffrey doesn't get it. Like, he doesn't know like where, because they're trying to figure out where the royal fleet is. But obviously the one ship that is drenched in wildfire, and Bronn takes it out, which obviously causes the explosion. That's like the best thing that, and probably the most expensive thing that the show's done in a long time. And Stannis becomes a grammar Nazi, and but not a grammar Nazi this time, a mathematical Nazi. Hundreds will die, thousands instead, because he likes his to correct people. But yeah, we kind of got a whole bunch of stuff going on and the explosion. What did you think, first of all, when that happened, when the first time you watched this episode with the explosion? Like
I
CGI?
was impressed by it. I was this because I watched season 1 and 2 before I read the books. I didn't know about the chain or anything, so after learning about the chain, I was a little disappointed. But watching it just as a show watcher, it was fucking cool. Back then, it was still kind of bad CGI. It wasn't the best. Like, you could see bits and pieces of, you know, kind of things, you know, negative CGI that if you're looking for them. But on the first watch through, it's like, holy shit. Okay, that's cool. And then also Braun hitting that shot from 200 yards away. It's like, okay, yep, he's one bad motherfucker. Because we've only seen him in one fight. We saw him at the Erie fight. So we knew he can fight, but didn't know much about it. But just that one shot hitting that first try and lights it up, it's awesome. And also a wild Dotrice appears. Yes, I have a note in there for it. Roy Dotrice popping in just with that chuckle. And everybody's reaction to the scene or to the shot of Howland and Joffrey just like all smiley and happy, and everybody else on the battlements like, holy fuck, what did we just do? Just a great dynamic between those actors.
Yes, it was a fantastic scene. I loved it. Everything you mentioned, Braun is a little more accentuated in his fighting style in the books. You get to see or hear a little more of it. And we see that here. Really liked. I just love his fighting.
Did you drop?
If I died from that, I want to be as close to the blast as possible.
Oh, fuck
Please.
yeah. I mean, it's basically napalm. That's what this is. It's soap and flammable that's, you know, lighting the water on fire. Yeah, put me as close as possible so I die instantly.
Yeah, well, I mean, they based it on...
Can be involved. I'm not going to get any more into that.
Yeah.
It's not pig shit.
What's up?
Sorry, Bray the Builder. It's not pig shit.
Yeah, and of course, wildfire being based on the legendary Greek fire. You know, this is a good imagining of the devastation that something like that would have caused. And I get what you're saying about the CGI, definitely, Ben. When we were watching this, but at the same time, like, especially for those of us that have been watching the series since it first aired on television, and not caught up later on as we got further into the series. You know, I mean, it was 2012. It was pretty good CGI, and it was TV CGI, right? We weren't in a movie theater, so a lot of us were just like, wow, that's pretty impressive for television.
Oh, true. And look, watching back on it now for the limited budget they had, absolutely phenomenal. It was just that first, because I watched it, like I said, I caught it in season 2 as it first aired. And first time I saw it, I was like, oh, that's cool. And I watched it again. I'm like, okay, there's a couple bits here that I was being nitpicky. Just it still looked amazing. And yeah, for the budget they had, phenomenally done. It was just, again, looking back at it now, like from 2019 eyes, it's like, that's a little on the rougher side because we have seen better, especially from this show. But it's for the time, it was beautifully done. So I hold back. I take back kind of what I said on it.
This is glorious compared to the background stunt doubles at the wall of Castle Black fighting. Like, just going, I'm talking about barely swinging the things, just no effort. They paid them guys $2 a day.
It's cold there, man.
Kenzie, you need to talk. You're just sitting there laughing and enjoying. You need to do some work.
Yeah. Work for this? Okay. Well, I was one of the people that watched it out of the season, and I watched it pretty much. Well, it was when, what was it? At the end of season 5, when that was live, was when I was finally caught up with this, because yeah, but when I first watched it, it's obviously one of those things where it's like, whoa, especially because we know the reputation of the wildfire, how it was one to be used by the Mad King, that the Targaryens had developed it because it was pretty much after they had ran out of their dragons, and how it was the most effective thing besides the dragon. And that when a couple episodes ago, when Tyrion's like, we're going to use a lot of this, when Stannis comes, it's just like, that's just only probably like a small bit of what they needed for this. And when the explosion happens, you're kind of just like, whoa, because for like a lot of people probably at this point, they somewhat cared for Davos, so it's like, no, you can't kill Davos like literally a season in. And if Davos had died in this, like, what would have happened, how that would have changed a few people's stories, especially John's story in the show, at least, where it was yeah, just like how that would have changed, because I'm not yeah, we don't really
Onion Wizard got saved by his magic fingers.
yeah, the magic fingers that have gone away. Yeah, when like, because Mathos, it doesn't survive this, if I'm correct.
No, he takes one to the face.
He's some crispy bacon.
Crispy bacon.
If Lord's alive, Mathos is there as a burnt skeleton.
Skeleton,
Yep. As Mathos said, the fire is the cleanest of, or is the holiest of deaths.
Mm-hmm.
Ash versus the Evil Dead.
And
the Army
also
of Darkness.
The Army of the Dead, that just needs a wildfire. But yeah, while they're on the battlements, it's kind of like a thing of like, Stannis is just like, okay, we must march on afterwards, and they're just kind of like, didn't think that would stop them. It's like, no, Stannis is not going to stop. Oh, the one thing that now looking at my notes, the one thing that we did miss is that Cersei tells Sansa that pretty much Tywin is an atheist. He believes in them. They're like touring the lines of atheism. Like, he believes in the gods. He believes at least in the seven, or whatever the Lannisters believe in, because I'm confused at this point. But he doesn't support, like, he doesn't pray and all that stuff, which is kind of funny. It's like Tywin sitting in like the Godswood or something praying, or as going to accept pray, would just be a funny image in my.
So he's a light of the seven agnostic, basically.
Yeah. It's kind of funny.
It's relevant. It's totally relevant. His motivation isn't religious zealotry or anything like that. You know, it's purely about power. And I mean, once you start getting into the background of the Lannisters, and you see that basically, you know, he saved everything in their lands from his bungling father. So he doesn't want to see that go after all of his hard work to get it all back, you know, and he wants more.
Exactly. And as Sarah in the chat points out, he didn't say basically he believes them, but he also believes they're real, but won't do anything positive. So he has to do whatever he needs to, you know, kind of along those lines. So it's a little bit more than agnostic, but it's kind of, as a joke I have about myself, but a recovering Catholic. It's like, yeah, I believe in it, but it doesn't mean much.
Donnie, what do you feel about Tywin and his religious views?
Tywin believes in himself, and that's about it. Well, he believes in himself, Cersei, and Jaime to an extent. Tyrion he feels like the gods cursed him. I think that has a lot to do with his belief there. He feels like he was cursed by the gods with Tyrion. If I'm not mistaken, there's something brought up about that that Tyrion says. And I really think that's pretty much it. And that he's more focused on passing on the family line. He's a realist, I would say. And he knows everything that he does is going to affect his family in the future. And I don't know, it's selfless to an extent, but he doesn't necessarily love his children. he just kind of sees them as pawns in Savas.
Yeah, because Tywin's all about legacy and what you leave to your children and your children's children. I think he says that to Jamie actually in season 1, and that even says it to Arya a couple episodes ago. He's like, "This will be my last war, and I need to be remembered for what my actions that I take." And obviously, what happens at the end?
Love the name, not the child.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? It's he's not. It's not a greater good or any kind of. It's absolute vanity is what it is. I mean, this leaving something behind as a legacy isn't necessarily something that's honorable, especially if the actions that you're taking in order to get there aren't honorable actions. I mean, it's ego. It's about ego for Tywin. It's not anything beyond that. He was embarrassed at what his father did with his name because he had to live with the consequences of his father's foolishness, and he saved face, and he wants to be remembered that way. It's absolutely complete ego on his part. That's what legacy is for him. Is how he's going to be remembered.
Yeah, exactly. So the next sort of part of this is
Stannis standing like a statue with a sword. That part.
because
Stannis,
Stannis
mirroring
always
George
goes.
Washington.
Exactly. Is that like doon, doon, doon. Okay, pretend
Stannis
it's the
going
sword,
to-
even though it's a hairbrush.
Yeah.
He's all like
cannot
got his
tell a
leg
lie.
up. He's all Captain Morgan on the front of that boat.
Yeah.
He's a little captain in it.
Yeah, like Captain Morgan and stuff. Yeah, pretty much my line on this is Stannis goes first. He's the first one off the boat. He's the first one up the ladder when it gets to that point. And he doesn't give up, which is a good thing, I guess. He doesn't give up. And after this is the whole the Hound with he was like, bring me something to drink, and someone brings him water, and he's like, fuck the water, bring me wine. And it's like the mood of he's almost at the mood of just fuck everything at this point, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
And Joffrey's also kind of conflicted about his presence in this, and because it's when Lancel, I think, comes, and he's like, "Oh, your mom wants you to be behind the gates in the Red Keep," but he's like trying to figure out what he wants to do because Tyrion's like, "Stay," and it's like, "Go, stay, go," and then obviously what happens after that. So we kind of talk about a little bit of this. So.
Well, Stannis comes in. He's an adrenaline junkie, flying high on his religion, not even wearing a helm. Kudos to him. He's standing there daring the archers to shoot him. And I know, John, they don't hold for that long. You usually pull and then let go, but it doesn't look as good on camera, so that's why they don't do it. Watched the whole special on it. It bothers me too. I did notice your comment, my friend. Can't really comment right now. Boom. Joffrey, his lips start quivering, those wormy lips, and he does so good at this. And the Hound assembles his force, right? And I just love it. I know Kenzie ain't gonna say what he says, but if he says, if any man dies without a blood on their sword, I'll rape his corpse. If that doesn't get you trying to kill someone, I mean, goodness, I did not want my corpse defiled by the Hound, so I would be fighting very hard at this point. You know, and this is when Lancel gets shot. Right there at that point. And Joffrey's running down the stairs. He don't know what to do. Tyrion's telling him, hey, the men need to see you. They need the inspiration. What did my mother say? Is the business urgent? Did she say it was urgent? She didn't say, my lord. He had the dead eyes when he was saying it. He's like, she didn't say. And he's like, well, I better go see my mommy. And you could see this perfect spot where Tyrion's like, I'll lead them. I'll lead them. And he's just, it hits him, and it's great acting on Peter
Yeah.
Dinklage's part right there. And just the speech and everything. But I'll let y'all gush about all that for a second.
Yeah, so you kind of took a couple of the exact same notes I had, Johnny. But first, yeah, great line of if anybody dies with a clean sword, I'll rape your fucking corpse. Just the badass of the Hound, and like we talked about earlier, Lancel actually holding his own in the battle for about 15 seconds, and then pussing out with one arrow. Can I get a Helm's Deep? Anyone? Anybody else get a Helm's Deep kind of vibe here? A little bit coming off with the green textured and everything. It just kind of gave me that feel on that. Then Bronn, yeah, seeing the fuckers come out of the water on fire, coming right at him or whatever, he's just like he breaks that. And we're getting close to the broken man for our show, but this is where the Hound breaks, and he's fuck the King's Guard, fuck the city, fuck the king, and looks right at Joffrey, and you see him, and that's when Joffrey breaks. He's like, fuck, I don't have my Hound anymore. I don't have my dog. I'm fucked. I have no idea what to do. And so as soon as Lancel's like, your mother wants you back, and she like, that wasn't the debate of should I go, should I not? It's how can I go without looking like a bitch? Like that's was the dynamic. Then he's found like, I have to go see what my mother needs. You know, that's just Sir Baron or oh fuck, Sir Mandan. You have and Sir Boris. You stay here in my honor. You know, and he burns the fuck out. It's just like, and yeah, like you said, Tyrion just looking like, well,
wink, wink.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But Tyrion's like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to lead. And yeah, this, as I said earlier, the best line of the night, right here. Those are brave men knocking on your door. Let's go kill them. Just yes. Fuck yeah, little man. I got little man syndrome with you. Let's do it. I don't care. Because here's the thing. He knows, because book-wise it's also perfect, because he's like, I'm going to walk. I have no idea if anybody's following me, but they don't want to look like the bitches of the half man's going. I have to, you know, and he knows that, but he's like, I'm not sure. I'm not going to turn around, because if I turn around, they're going to think I don't believe it. So it was a very well acted scene, and yeah, beautifully done. Go ahead, Clarissa.
I know you guys covered it pretty good. I mean, I would agree about the whole, you know, Lancel goes out into the fray, and he's holding his own really well up until, you know, what was that sound he made again, Johnny? Ah! I don't know if it was quite like that, but pretty close. It was barely.
It was like the Wilhelm scream that.
Yeah, I totally was just watching a quiz show where they talked about the Wilhelm scream into the Rancor. Ah!
Off the Death Star thing.
And on Tatooine.
Yeah.
Into the not the Rancor, the
Snarlack.
the Snarlack.
Yeah, and then it was used at Helm's Deep as well.
He took it Helm's Deep, did he? So sorry.
Ben says it's a sexual monkey sound to him.
Yeah, Brand stole my line. I was gonna be like, watch when this blows up later, like after the show's over, there's gonna take splices of this. And just like what all the stupid sexual things that we say or sounds that we make, and there's the compilation.
It made into a song.
I like how when you think about the exchange that the Hound and Bronn had in the tavern before the battle, and then during the battle when Bronn saves Clegane on the battlefield, and he's looking around him and he's starting to panic, and he looks up and Bronn saved the day, and he didn't just snap at that point, you know, in this battle, I think because of the battle, but I think like he looks at Bronn and he's all like passing the proverbial non-lit, non-fire torch, because they terrify him, but he's passing the torch to Bronn at this point. I think he's like, you know what, this dude's got this, and fuck, I'm out So long, suckers.
And I never thought about it until right this second, but Braun gives him the Ollie nod. Like he hits him with the arrow and he goes, you know.
Yeah, but I can
nods.
Man.
Dongs. He didn't give him the dongs. He gave him the nods.
Braun's Ollie's real father. That was his adoptive parents that got eaten.
From when he was up north before,
Yeah,
which we know from the drinking game. Of episodes
what if
past.
he's one of Craster's sons who got away?
Ooh.
It's like you wouldn't know him.
Tinfoil!
Like a mysterious Craster sons.
The tinfoil alert.
But it doesn't make any sense, but go ahead.
Well, Braun is Craster's son.
I don't think that I think if somebody else had saved the Hound, I don't think that he would have stepped away in quite the way that he did from the battle. I think that moment with Braun, that exchange, I think that was the moment that Sandor Clegane went, well, fuck, I'm out. Like, I really do. I think that, he was definitely in a place of panic, but he could have stayed. He could have fought. But the fact that it was Braun that saved him, and he looked and he's like, this is the fucker that came to replace me. This is my go. It's like when you're at a job you've had forever and you're like, nobody knows how to run this stuff. And then they hire some like genius kid who picks up stuff like that. And you're like, this is my chance to get out of this dead end job. And this kid can take over because he's totally capable. And you bail, right? Like that, for me, that was the moment I always felt anyway. I still feel that way.
He's been looking for a way out, I think, too.
I think so.
Probably.
I think that's true, like from the conversation that he has with Braun in the tavern. Especially if we're looking at it from the point of view that, that confused me and Ben at the beginning, that you explained, Johnny, just how, definitely he sees things in Braun that he sees in himself, but he doesn't like in himself. Like if he doesn't like these things in himself, he doesn't want to stick around. And now that he sees that there's somebody who's capable, who is enjoying the job, he's like, well, what am I still doing here? I'm going, man.
Yeah, exactly. The Hound probably just sees that Braun can probably do or serve Tyrion at least better than he could at this point. And like he's almost overseen as a lookover, and Joffrey's Joffrey, and he doesn't care about Joffrey, especially because of the whole fuck the king. And Johnny, I was going to mention the whole corpse thing, but I wanted us to talk about it because I didn't want to spoil it.
I didn't know if you wanted to say it. Come out of your innocent voice box.
Innocent voice box, yeah.
Little bird. Shansha. Hello, Shansha. You don't get burnished this episode, but you'll see plenty of me later.
Sasek, she just put exactly what the Hound is thinking in the chat. She says, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. Fuck you, fuck you.
Oh, Half-Baked is the movie.
Yeah,
Half-Baked.
I love that.
You got that one.
Exactly. And Nancy T is just like, because we're talking about the Hound, it's like the poor Hound was scared. Yeah, he was scared with all the fire, but he comes to kind of get over his fear of fire in season 7 a little bit, which is kind of funny.
Kinda. He didn't really say Thoros too much. He just kind of like.
No.
And he was looking at it, not like having it flung at him.
Yeah. It was like looking into the fire, which is kind of funny. Like look in there, like into the fire. The next kind of thing.
Do a little bird, or is there more?
Yeah. Well, the in between of that is that Cersei goes to the throne room because Joffrey's back, so she goes to the throne room with Tommen. But there's that scene after that. But yeah, we can talk about the hashtag Sansan scene of this episode, as people like to call it, hashtag Sansan. And Bran, I think, put it like most people probably thought, was he had a moment. He had a moment realizing he didn't want to die a virgin, so he went to rape Sansa and fucks that up too. Yeah, because in the book, isn't it like that where he like is more like aggressive in that?
This is
part?
actually, to me, very well done book to show. Kind of, he was a little more aggressive in the book wise. He was like, "You're gonna give me a song, give me a song, give me a kiss," so it was a bit more aggressive, a bit more rapey, but it was actually fairly close to what happened show wise. She could tell that he was just, like I said, broken.
Mhm.
So this was one of the closer scenes that I can say.
I would agree with you on that. I would say at this point he was also thinking about gold. He needed gold. But he also saw everything that Sansa went through. He pretty much saw Sansa every day. And she's one of the few innocent people in King's Landing. There aren't many. And yeah, you could say she made bad decisions, but she's not an evil person. And I just think, what if she would have went with him and he would have caught Arya? That would have been some hilarious antics on TV. Even though they couldn't have did that, still just me thinking about it just made me smile. And I didn't want to talk up the whole scene because I wanted to get Clarissa's thoughts, but she ran away.
She ran away for a second, but
Yeah.
there's some funny
There she
moments. But we can go. Clarissa, go. Oh, let's see what they collect. The thoughts that they collect in the chat. Say your lovely thoughts. Muted.
Sorry, you had cut out for just a second. I was like, what did she just say?
I was wait to see what the chat thinks while you say your lovely thoughts.
I'm seeing this scene really made me hope that we get a good Sansan season 8 scene, even just one. Because he doesn't let himself be vulnerable around many people, and he allows himself to be vulnerable around Sansa. The very fact that he sought solace in her chambers instead of anywhere else in the entire castle, he hoped to see her, I think. And I think he hoped to rescue her. Because he's seen what she's gone through, because he knows that and has always known what a douchebag Joffrey is. It's just like it wasn't an accident that he went to Sansa's room. He was hoping to encounter her. I've always thought that too. And I was always very sad that there was never any kind of payoff after that moment, because they never have another scene after that together.
To your point in the book, he is the one that personally tells her what happened to his face and makes her look at it while he's walking her back after I think Ned had been taken, right? And
No, this is
right
after.
before.
This is the night of the tourney, the first night of the tourney.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, it's a little more exacerbated in the books, but I like how they did it on screen. And I don't know what more can come of it other than him being in her Queen's Guard / King's Guard. There's a lot of stuff referring to Sansa being queen and foreshadowing. And in the beginning, when you're watching this, you think it's super obvious, right? And then it goes through all these people, and then you have Sansa come back around, which is possible. Seen it happen a few times on shows, because I watch them every now and then. But it could be this full circle of the queen she was supposed to fear the whole time was underneath her nose from the very beginning, being Cersei and Sansa.
Yeah, true.
Maybe.
Yeah, there's some in the chat, like Bren is like talking about like how there's like the whole thing of Sansa being like mind raping the Hound, and then it's like may not have been the physical, but it's like the mental. And that Sasek says that the Hound lost his parents around the same age as Sansa, so he's kind of more sympathetic. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know like how her mindset would have been if she did sleep with the Hound while the battle for King's Landing was happening, going around. She probably should have been like, well, this is weird. But hey, it would have been better than Ramsay. I'm telling you that much. But you can see that there is this almost scene between them, and it's innocent, but it also has like, again, some slight sexual things that are almost like, whoa, calm down. But he does tell her though in the end, he's like, the whole your brother's a killer, your father's a killer, everybody around you are killers, and you have to get used to looking at them. Like Johnny had said, Sansa's gonna have a lot of people around her who have killed people, and he has to look them in the eye and do all that stuff. Like Brienne has killed people, Jaime has killed people, Arya has killed people, Sandor has killed people. Like all of these people who are going to be on her side, more or less, have killed people. The Knights of the Vale killed people. Like all these people that she knows have
I'm actually
there because they killed people. But
yeah, sorry, I'm just thinking about something right now.
Ben's killed people.
Plead the fifth. But I'm thinking about that. Like, if we look at every character in the show so far, they have killed someone, except for Sansa.
She killed. Well, she metaphorically killed Ramsay, but that's besides the point.
Oh, okay, all right. Nope, good point. Yeah, no, she did. I
She
mean,
didn't do. Yeah, she didn't do it by her own hand.
Yeah,
like, it wasn't by her own hand.
I give her that kill. Okay, so I take that back. So, all right, fair enough.
And
sick 'em, buddy.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Littlefinger, like she ordered the death of Littlefinger.
I give that one still to Arya, but yeah, you're right. Okay, I was thinking up to that point, she really hadn't killed anyone, but I forgot about Ramsay. But I was
It was
thinking,
a group murder.
Well, I was thinking like Bran's killed someone, Littlefinger's like even the minor people who you don't think. I think Rickon was the only one that didn't kill anyone because he just doesn't know how to zigzag, but. Everybody else has killed someone, Bran with Hodor or Summer, that kind of thing. So I was just wondering, but I forgot about Ramsay too. Good call on calling me out. So never mind.
Yeah, she killed Ramsay, but that's about it. Yeah, but the fact, like, we are talking about how this episode really spirals into Sansa, like, learning how to be exactly like a queen. Sansa has a stacked amount of people behind her, pretty much, that will be on her side if we're going Sansa versus Dany on this. And because who does Dany really have on her side that's a named character that knows how to fight? We got Jon, I guess, and then Jorah, Grey Worm, and Grey Worm.
Dario could make an appearance.
Yeah, he could, but that's like
he will.
A list of fighters that are like
his ass in season 4 or what was it? Was it in season 4 his ass showed up? That foreshadowed it. That was the
2.0 is when the ass.
The Mother of Mountains or something like that. I don't remember what they called it.
Yeah, when because he's like.
Not gonna lie, I would love it if season 8 Ed Skrein pops in as Dario again, just like, oh, I'm back to help you out. Come on. It would be fucking beautiful if they did that.
Yeah, they went back to Dario 1.0.
You don't think they're gonna have Dario in the Golden Company? Honestly?
Yeah.
You don't think that they're gonna have him on Cersei's side?
Oh no, like the thing that there's a whole video that I like, kind of the thing where he'll come with the Golden Company, but he'll have this influence because he took out the second sons of the Harpies' main leaders. That's like how he got control of the second sons. So there's a thing where you could potentially kill John Connington or over the actor who's supposed to play the leader of the second sons.
Illyrio too. You
Yeah,
gotta think about
Patis,
that influencing
and
the Golden Company and wanting to back a Targaryen or Jon. They don't want to back Cersei, and they're trying to put someone on the throne themselves. So you have to look
yeah,
out for that as well when you're thinking about that.
You don't think he's going to turn on Danny, honestly?
there's the thing that I had thought of where it was, what was it? That Dario would show up because he knows that she needs more of an army, shows up, sees her with John, and is like, oh, this is the fancy powdered man that you want to sit beside in the with the Iron Throne, because that's how she broke up with him. It's like, I need to marry somebody, and I need to have somebody with names. If at this point he shows up, John has no like Targaryen name, and it's just still considered a bastard, be like, so you left me a bastard pretty much for another one? It's like, just because he has some title of as king, it's like you left me for him. And the second Dario looks very similar to John, to be like even funnier. It's like just me with a title. That's about pretty much is like his whole thing. But as soon as Danny rejects him, down Cersei, that's just sweet revenge, because Danny hasn't been duped. So if
Dario shows up, kills Euron, and is all like, I got rid of that crazy guy for you because he was a few sandwiches short of a picnic. Hey, Cersei, how's it going?
That could happen. I think also when Euron's sleeping, Theon's gonna steal the fleet or some type of diversion type shit's gonna happen there. And that begs the question. Could there already be something in the works, huh? I don't know. I have to think about this a little more. You got my mind turning though.
Yeah, we'll have to do a whole other stream with like theories. So yeah, we got the killers and all that, which will be hashtag Sansan, because I know that triggers Brand. Hashtag Sansan.
Did Tyrion make it this episode?
Dun, 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 dun. Well, we do know that he survives in the end, but yeah.
Kenzie, what are your thoughts on Mandon Moore?
Oh man, someone was gonna obviously do that to Tyrion. Just happens that it was Mandon Moore, obviously, because no one pretty much besides Sansa and Jaime actually likes Tyrion or respects Tyrion enough to be nice to him. So, and Shay, I'll give Shay that for another maybe one more season, and then it'll be fine. But yeah, Sir Mandon Moore is just would hey, why not take out the imp? Be the one that takes out Tyrion. But we know, obviously, in the book, it's more of his nose gets cut off than it's just a scratch across the face. So, and Tyrion got the facial scar before Jon did. Kind of funny. Got that happened, which is kind of funny.
That's gay. You know what they say. Chicks dig scars.
Exactly.
So Pod's shown off his skills of shoving a spear through somebody's skull.
So good, right?
Please tell me someone got that. Never mind. Innuendo.
No, I know.
All right. Anyway, yeah. So I did love that.
It's not the only poker we hear about.
But Stannis, being the Manus kid, like we talked about earlier, being the first one up the wall, being on the battlements, going at it, and he's taking on 7, 8, up to 10 guys on his own. There's no help up there. He's just back and forth, and then he starts, that's right before he starts getting drugged back before the battle commences, but he's just going ham on those motherfuckers, So I give him. This is as I've talked about before, I'm not a Stannis fan show wise, even book wise. I think he's kind of a tool. I know there's a big Stannis the Menace kind of thing. This I see where Stannis is cool. He's a good fighter and a good leader in that aspect. Beyond that, meh. But I give him credit for this episode.
How did he get off the battlements? How did they? No, and they could all hold him back, and he could just climb gingerly down the ladder, and they just let Stannis get away. That part, I hated that part. But other than that,
well, that's the other thing is, I'm sorry, Clarissa. Stannis battles from the back. He like sends his troops in, and he
does.
He's like exactly. He's like Tywin though. He doesn't. He's not the guy right up front fighting. He's fighting from the back, generaling his army. That kind of thing. And so this scene, they tried to do it for show wise of he's a badass fighter. That's not really who Stannis was. So it's
but he was brave and he went into battle. It's not, he's not the star fighter, but he goes into battle with his men. Like just nobility and morale are still priorities to Stannis.
Oh, that was a nod to the Potomac, the crossing of the Potomac, not George Washington for sure. I'm glad you said that, Ben. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off my side.
Except they're Brits.
Yeah, written by Americans.
True. I'm still getting Captain Morgan off that. Since I lost it, I just want a rum. Yum, rum.
Yeah. But when we were talking.
Sorry, but also I give credit to Tyrion here because this is where he fucking goes ham on some guys. He cuts the dude's leg off with an axe, like literally just whap. It's like okay, and like they think they haven't won, and then all of a sudden it comes around. Like oh shit.
I love that in that scene where he cuts off the guy's leg and then he's like, wow, he falls over, and then he takes the axe. He's like, wham, wham, and then it's almost as though he's going, okay, is that one dead? Okay. It's very split second, but it's like that's what's going through his head. Is that one dead now? Okay, well he can't kill me back. Okay, let's go.
Exactly.
Yeah, like the Tyrion with like his fighting, because he obviously is a half man, and if he was cut in half, he'd be the quarter man. So it's funny that
he made a 3/4 man before he got knocked down. So
3/4 man, 3. Yeah.
And he got back up again. You're never gonna keep him down.
You're good enough. Little Chumbawamba time.
Everybody's still talking about a little bit of Sansan in the chat and stuff like, because there is fan fiction out there of Sandor and Sansa probably in that moment too, with what happens. I've never personally read it, but apparently, I don't know.
Oh no, Sandor's gonna come in on Stranger and swoop up Sansa, and they're gonna ride off into the sunset. They'll be the only ones left because they decided to flee for their love, and everyone else is gonna die during the long night.
Yep.
But save for the people in Dorne, like last time, supposedly.
Yeah.
Such an ass.
There's what is it? Yeah, like when Tyrion obviously gets his face slit, you're just like, you're left in shock because it's like, are they really going to kill the next highest paid actor on the show, pretty much, to do that? Like, they're really going to start at the top tier and then just keep killing and killing and killing until they get to like the medium to low level actors, and then they'll be like, okay, we can't kill any of you off until we like age you up a little bit and then add more characters. Like people were probably thinking that. They're like, really?
The guy they didn't even audition? Yeah, right.
I know exactly. Like both of them. Like they didn't audition Sean Bean, they didn't audition Peter Dinklage. It was just like those were the two people that they wanted, and it was like cut them out in the first 2 seasons. Oh man, especially both episode 9s. It's just like, is that what they're gonna do? They're gonna go through every episode 9 and kill a major character. Ooh, that would have been annoying as hell, but it would have been funny at the same time.
Thanos dies, right? So
yeah, major character. Yeah, major named character. I don't know how much. Yeah, because and then you get like Egret in season 4, episode 9. Robb Stark, Catelyn Stark,
mm-hmm.
whole bunch of The
Yeah.
Northmen.
5-9 was Hardhome. No really named characters died Hardhome. Like
No, the poor gal.
5-9.
Yeah, but she was a one-off. Like
5-9
Right.
is Ben. 5-9 is Shireen Baratheon.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep. Good call. Good call.
Stannis is 5-10, and then
Yeah.
609 is Ramsay Bolton.
Yeah.
So 707 had the poor White. That's about it.
Yeah.
We didn't get a 709, so 707.
But it'd be more of a 706.
No, 707 is Baelish. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. 4-9 also have Ed and Gren,
How dare you forget
Pip
about
and
me.
Gren
Pip
as
and
well.
Gren. Yeah, you got some big. Yeah, they like to kill people on like the 9 episodes. It's weird, and then in the 1-7 episode. But now it just proves in the series finale they're gonna kill someone of major importance to someone's storyline.
That's true.
They better keep
707
good old Podrick.
Yeah, good call, Luke.
Actually,
it was 706. That was
706. So it's Baelish. That was 707. Was the big murder of that series.
When did we start doing mathematics? I got confused. What's been around?
Because we're talking about like how like if they had killed like Tyrion in season 2, episode 9, and so on. But Sasnak has a good question. It's like, did they imply that Tywin was at the front on the beach in this episode? Couldn't tell whose white horse it was. It's because it's after Stannis' army breaches the gates is when Tywin / the Lannister forces come. It's seemingly from around the corner.
Yeah.
And,
we can assume that Tywin is that he's in battle, because when he takes his helm off when he walks into the Red Keep and talks to Cersei, he has blood splattered on his face.
Mm-hmm.
So he was in the battle.
Yeah.
So he's probably on the beach. We will fight them on the beaches.
Like the beaches. And then we find out that the Tyrells have now went against the Baratheons. And they've now joined forces with the Lannisters. Plot twist there. Hashtag Olenna plan. Hashtag season 3 beyond.
Sorry, Luke.
So are we going into the throne room and all that?
Yeah. Or as Luke, as your brother just said, when the sperm that was promised.
I was just going to say, did you see what Luke put?
Yeah, we can talk about pretty much. Yeah, the throne room where Cersei is sitting with Tommen on the Iron Throne and tells a child's version of what could happen, very much what she thinks is actually supposed to happen, and all the while playing with the nightshade lid bottle before giving it to him, and she doesn't get to give it to him because the Tyrell army shows up with Tywin, and it's like, the battle is over, we have won. And that's the final scene of the episode. So, what did we think about Cersei's story? And how she's pretty much naming, seemingly, all of the sigils, or the representations of the sigil, or house pets.
All the bears in the north, and the
wolves in the... Or,
the foxes in the south.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bears in the north, the foxes in the south.
And the stag tried to, take over or whatever. And Tommen's even like, I thought stags only eat grass. And Cersei's like, fuck off. This is my story.
Yeah.
And the silver foxes in the friend zone over in Essos.
So my only thing with this is she chooses to poison the sweet one. We can all agree Tom's the sweet kid, but let's the cunt of a whelp just get what's coming to him. Joffrey's just going to get what's coming to him. You don't do that. But she forgets about Marcella. What does she expect is going to happen to her daughter once Stannis takes over and heads to Dorne? You think they're going to let her, not get a little bit of rape going on, or in her mind, at least?
Well, what's she gonna do? I gotta FedEx my kids some of this. Yes, it's a nightshade.
I get that.
Would Stannis invade Dorne? That would not be wise.
No.
But he wouldn't need to. If he takes over King's Landing, the Dornish will kneel. The Dornish will, or Doran will say, okay, there you go. I don't think the Dornish will, they won't hand over Marcella, but I don't think Stannis would invade to get her. It's kind of one of those weird. It's one of those weird things where, but still, Marcella's not fucking safe. She has no protection anymore. If they all go down, just I don't know. It's just a random thought I just had as coming up to we were getting to this scene. I was like, what the fuck about Marcella?
Doran's all like, Stannis is invading. Send the sand snakes. 10 minutes later.
Nah, there
We're
would just be
defeated!
no one there. They just all retreat into the underground caverns or wherever the hell they go. It's not really distinguished too much.
The water gardens.
Yeah, there's a portal to Sathoros. The yellow toad has sunk in the sand.
After we talk about Cersei and all this, the chat, I don't know what happened to them, but they start talking about dragons and
ice cream dragons.
They're talking about dragon jizz, is what they're talking about.
Yeah, because they're talking about how Eager got the Lord's kiss and that Danny got something else. So, they're funny. They always, like, the chat always ceases to amaze me what they can come up with while we ramble and the lions and the stags and how they must bow to you. Johnny, what do you think?
It was a classic Cersei panic moment that we see more in the books than in the show. I thought it was portrayed pretty well. She didn't really care about Joffrey at that point. I don't think Joffrey ever would have come to the throne room anyway, and she couldn't have got him to take the poison. She would have had to do this whole thing to poison him. So I guess this was her last case scenario, or worst case scenario, which I would argue she was pessimistic the entire time, thinking that this was going to happen. Mainly because she has no faith in Tyrion and less faith in her own son. And
can you blame her?
She got lucky. No, I'm not blaming her at all. But she did get lucky. Well, Tommen got lucky. Maybe. I mean, he gets to at least fly before he dies now. So,
Well, yeah, it was the good foreshadowing moment for the torch, for the crown to be passed on to Tommen. In that moment, it's just like, oh yeah, that's cool. For Cersei to come to that point, like obviously she planned ahead for the worst. Plan for the worst, hope for the best. She's been through war already before.
Mm-hmm.
So, she's not a stranger to it. She understands the consequences. She's seen the consequences. So I think that, anybody in her position and position of power and situation as a parent would make a similar choice. Would rather, you see the choice later when we see the Brotherhood without banners going into the hut of the old man and his daughter, and he didn't want her to starve to death, so he kills his own daughter. Like, it's a motivation that a parent would have in a lethal circumstance like that, right? It's horrible, but it's true.
Yeah, no, agreed. And it's one that, like, it kind of makes me think back though to Tyrion finding out from Varys about the secret passages and shit. He wouldn't give that information, at least to save his other nephew, because he loves Tommen. He had nothing but nice things about Tommen. So he gets the information about the tunnels maybe pass that on to your sister or somebody who's watching Tommen to, hey, take him away to give him a little bit of a possibility of living. Just, again, little bit of oversights because you just got the information, use it, But I understand where they were going with the Cersei part, because even if she had gotten the information, she probably still would have taken the actions she had, because she's that narcissistic, and if he's going to die, it's going to be by my hand kind of thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't Cersei say that she knows about the catacombs at some point, though? Like, that's where all the dragon heads were put, was down in the catacombs, right? How could they not add it up?
Everybody knows about them. The rumor's
how
been
many
there.
know?
All the Masons were murdered by Maegor after it was built. Ferris. I mean, people have probably had to accidentally find them. You've had other mistresses of whispers, tying up the tower, to Laris Clubfoot, to a lot of people that would be able to know. And you're asking how it's. I don't know that Cersei knew about it to the extent that it was. There's places down there. I don't think she knew about the secret passages, because there are already tunnels down there, but the secret passages I don't think she knew about.
Yeah.
But she does say that Robert had brought her down there, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he put the dragon skulls down, so like into the dungeons, or the tunnels down there. But as Sasuke said, I was going to bring this up, she knows they're there, but maybe not specifically how to get in and out or anything like that. And that's kind of where my thought was going, was Tyrion just got a fucking map. Maybe pass that on to your family to help him out. So that's the one thing. And again, I just thought about it right now, so I'm not gonna say it's the least favorite thing in the episode, but it's one of those kind of things that kind of missed the mark of Tyrion's character. He probably would have passed that information on, at least to his nephew, or for his nephew.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this, though, is because she obviously knows what happens. She kind of knew what happens when a Baratheon kind of invades the city, especially King's Landing, because last time, even though it was on the orders of Tywin Lannister, the Targaryen children were slaughtered and murdered. And Elia Martell was also raped and then murdered. So she obviously didn't want to have that with Tommen, like have Tommen's last bit of his life being killed and murdered, and raped and all of that stuff. So it's just to have him die a relatively peaceful death would have been solace for her. Or they could have like we discussed, he could have easily had the Viserys and technically Dany route, which was they were scurried away from King's Landing by boat, but then you're also dealing by boat with Stannis and the dead people and the wildfire. So it's like, which one's the better option? Scurrying him away, but him potentially being captured, or just have him die peacefully by poison in the throne room. It's a little bit of both, but obviously he doesn't need to drink the poison because Grandpa shows up and saves the day with Lancel and
Loras. No, it was Loras Tyrell.
Loras Tyrell.
The Knight of
Lancel,
Flowers.
Loras, the Knight of the Flowers.
How dare you? I was
And so
wearing Renly's armor.
I do love Cersei's look when Loras comes in. She's like, "What the fuck are you?" And he takes off the helmet. She's like, "Oh fuck! Now we gotta deal with you." Like it wasn't even And then her father comes and she's like, "Oh," and that's when she drops the vial. But I will say, my absolute favorite closing credits. I love this version of the Reigns. I stand by this, the best one out there. And it's just very well done. I wasn't expecting it when I first, because I had heard about the Reigns Casimir and kind of knew about it when the show popped up, but I finally got all the lyrics and everything, and it's beautifully done and well sung.
Yeah, that's a whole. I think they probably took it from when Jerome was singing probably before, or they just made him sing it again. But yeah,
is this Jerome Flynn doing it?
I think
No. He's a
yeah.
tenor. That was sung by
He's more of a baritone. Yeah.
It's probably like the whole thing of them singing it, or there's probably someone.
And then the bow playing on the upright bass, being the only other, so good.
Yeah, very minimalistic, but just perfectly done.
Yeah, It's
Dark.
just this episode. This episode goes through a lot, and it was only in one location, which is rare. I don't know if this was the only episode that's ever done that in the show.
Battle up to this point, yes.
Yeah, it's
but
the
then
only episode that's done that. But then
Battle
there's the wall and
Battle of the Wall.
Hard Home, and then Hard Home and stuff.
No, Hard Home. There's still other
Oh
stuff.
yeah, that's part of it. There's like the first bit, and then it's like.
But yeah, Battle of the Wall is the only other one. Maybe Battle of the Bastards technically is only up north. But
It has the beginning bit with Danny and her basically is like, these ships are mine, bitches, and then she goes.
That's right. But yeah, so yeah, this one and Battle of the Wall are the only two where there's one location only. So
I feel like episode 3 of season 8 will be a similar version of this, but all in Winterfell, because there's a big battle episode.
I could see that.
Because Cersei, what she got going on in season 8? She'll just be sitting there twiddling her thumbs.
The Golden Company. That's what she got going on.
That'll be by episode 2. So I see where you're coming from, Ken. So this will be the Battle of Winterfell. For episode 3, I can see that.
Yeah. Got to parallel the battle for Blackwater. Yeah.
Tyrion should have just sent her some Pod the Rod, like way back when. And I tell you, she would have given all that shit up. If those whores are going to do it for free, Cersei'd be like, you know what? I give up.
No, she just likes people in her immediate family. That's who she likes to have sex with. So. I don't think she
never had Pod the Rod.
Tripod.
Yeah. Oh, Clarissa, I did think though that you were going to say you should that to send Podrick up to see Santa, but then it's just like there's also that weird dynamic too, where like they want either Santa with Podrick, with Gendry, with the Hound, and then there's like also with Tyrion, and then like other there's like a laundry list of people that Santa's apparently supposed to be with.
She's still married to Tyrion. That's my only argument.
Yeah, I've always under the 7, she's married to Tyrion, and under the old gods, she's a widow. But yeah, I have to say I'm kind of in the Tyrion camp. I think that that's like power couple, Westerosi power couple. You know, like that's a cover of Hello Magazine.
Or it's like, or you could have it where Sansa is like sitting on the Iron Throne, and all her bitches are like instead of like the opposite. It's just like she's just has every other man that doesn't have a wife. Is like
I thought you said bitches, and then
all the bitches around. Like
I thought you meant benches.
She got her hose. She got her he hose.
She got her hose. Like she got like Pod. Gendry, Jon, Tormund, like all of these people that she's supposed to be with around while she sits down the Iron Throne, and all the other women are just like somehow gone. That would be funny.
And then she picks Tyrion because
it's like a lineup. It's like the like what is it? Modern times. It's like
The Bachelor. Okay. Who gets the rose? Who gets the blue winter rose?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
All right. Well, we've kind of covered the episode. So, John, if we can kind of, I guess, Johnny, what's your rating quickly before your head hurts?
I give this episode about a 9.476 and a half.
What? Explosion? Slices to the face.
He's using decimals and fractions, people. Decimals and fractions.
So, we've learned that little known fact, the origin of the first ever wildfire came from a dragon's teat. So I'll give it 9 dragon teats. And that's not a real fact. I just made that up.
And what's your final thought on this episode?
I thought this episode just exploded off the screen. And there are many great moments with the Hound. With all of our favorite characters, really. Tyrion, Bronn. Lots of good banter. You got to see Joff's wormy lips quiver. I can't say I could ask for any more. You know, Cersei's japes. You know, loved it. Heyo.
Cersei Chase.
I like Attila's 9.7 on the Rickon scale. That's I like that one.
Yeah. What's your rate? Ben, is that your rating? 7 point.
No,
or
no.
9.7?
Julie. 9 drunk Cersei advices.
There
No,
you go.
I'm sorry. This episode is a 10. A motherfucking 10 on the there are 10 good men outside that gate. Let's go kill them scale. This not one negative thing. Even the Shay scene, like I said, it's a sweet scene. So I can't even hate on the Shay scene. This is a perfectly executed episode.
You can't take a 1/10 of a point off for George Washington.
I will give him credit for sailing that Potomac Blackwater. No, he gets that 1 point, 0.1 for the Blackwater Potomac. No, it's a 10.
Are you guys watching the ratings on
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
the chat?
Sasuke says a 9.375 part eaters, or the same rating, but Sansa Red Flowers. John,
and actually 9.5 no Danny's. Actually, that's a 10.5 for me. 10.5 because no Danny.
10.5.
That's awesome. That's so you, John.
Yeah, 10 drunk Cersei advices. Yeah. But what's your final thought? Final
thought, like I said, yeah, this was the first perfect episode. As I said, I had kind of binged season 1, watched season 2 live as it was coming, and when I got to this one, I didn't know what to expect. And when I saw it, it was like, holy fuck! This is why I love the show. There's some people that like the dragons and the magic and the North stuff with Bran. That's why they're drawn in. This is why I'm drawn in. I love the King's Landing politic battle. Just so well done. The intricacies, the little games being played in the background of everything. It's just beautifully done. If they could remake this for every episode of season 8, I would say this is the greatest show of all time. I doubt it's going to happen, but I could hope.
Just go watch a few Marvel movies. You can get that, man. We want some better stuff in season 8. I'm joking with you, man. I like the points.
Just like Septus Chain Secret says, from Braun's intimacy worker to Sandstone proof to Tyrion's speech and all George's writing. Fucking 10. Suck it hard home. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
Agreed.
no. I would
Sussex says not. Oh, go ahead.
I would agree all around. Like, I love the Lancel screams. Thank you.
Oh, it's 9.375. Ah!
Where you guys?
No, like I.
You gotta wonder if that's how he sounds when he's with Cersei.
Yeah.
I give it 10 stabbing pod rods. You know, everything, like you were saying, Ben, everything about this episode, you know, you get the feels, you get the lovey-doveys and the anticipation and the insights and the excitement and you get the payoff, the wow factor, as well as really excellent storytelling. This is definitely, you know, I hesitate to say that it's the top of my favorite Game of Thrones episodes, but it's definitely in the top 5 without question. Out of all 67 episodes that's out so far, yeah, it's definitely in the top 5 without question. It was spectacular the first time I watched it, and even after all these seasons later and watching it again, it's just as spectacular as the first time I watched it for me.
I agree, no doubt, in my top 40 for sure.
All right, Casey Kasem.
Top 40.
Right.
Like Bran says, 11 virgin. Like Bran says, 11 virgin hounds. This episode most definitely is one of the best that the show has ever done to date.
Sassic with the best one so far, though. 9.375 bronze noses up that chick's ass.
Exactly.
Slow clap.
Oh
That's
my god. Yes. This. Oh my gosh. The amount of rating changes and the amount of like funny ones that we've had this episode, it's insanity. But this episode stands the test of time. This episode. There's other episodes in the early seasons that are just kind of like why like it doesn't stack as like as well in terms of like the action and how stuff is played. But this episode, when you go back to it and you rewatch, you're like, wow. From the drunk Cersei with and to the Hound to everything that happens in this episode, we get a lot. And I think that my episode rating for this probably is a 9.95. Let's see. Let me see for a second. Try to make it comedic. We got. Okay, go. I'll do it. 9.95. Sassy Sansa's remarks to Joffrey, where she goes, "I'm stupid little girl," like she knows herself. 9.95. I'm a stupid little girl from Sansa. So I guess we can see where everyone can find this awesome, the awesome people that were in with us. I cannot talk right now. Jesus. Find everyone. Why my brain is like going all crazy because of this. Okay. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, first, Jesus told me to tell you that he has nothing to do with it.
John, where can people find you?
You can find me at Johnny Be Crazy tomorrow, Friday. Southside's channel everywhere. Cylon Johns and Jills. All the frills and thrills. Just go ahead, Clarissa. Fill the rest in.
I am a Cylon Jill after all. You can find me on Cylon Johns with Johnny Be Crazy and John St. Baptiste, who's in our chat, and Mackenzie L. Burns, Bobby Catalano, who was in the chat earlier. Are you still around, Bobby? And of course our Amy True. So see you Friday, hopefully. We're on season 2, episode 1 this week, the Cylon Johns, you guys. So catch up, binge season 1, go into season 2, come join us, and hopefully Mackenzie will have me back again for episode club of Game of Thrones, but not Vikings because I'm only on season 1.
We'll obviously do like
we're coming back around to those. Don't worry.
Yeah, we're going to do that.
That one I think I'm going to jump on definitely is when you get back around to because I need to catch up on that. So hi again. I'm Ben with Podcast That Drinks and Knows Things. Luke was in here earlier chatting. We have him, Abby, our first time watcher, and Glenn, our resident Gumby. We talk about spoiler-free Game of Thrones. We're on season 6, episode 7. We're scheduled right now for Saturday night about 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern. So, like I said, we're talking about 6-7, which is The Broken Man. So we get Ray and the Hound and everything. So it's a pretty good episode. I'm also on Citadel Trivia. I'll be hosting next Friday night for that on 52 Pickup. So come in and try to answer some of my easy questions. They're all pretty easy for what I came up with. Also, we have I have other podcasts of the podcast that must not be named and the podcast that floats down here, Harry Potter and It podcasts. Just find them at thepodcastthat.com. But thank you, Kent, and I look forward to being back later on in a couple episodes.
Yeah. As Bran put it best, I give it 9.95 sassy Santa slurs. Say that 6 times fast.
Sassy Santa slurs, 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 sassy Santa slurs. Okay.
There you go.
I'm an asshole.
Yeah. Johnny, you really shouldn't advertise your tongue like that online.
I got a Craigslist page.
Guys,
oh dear.
there's gonna be a change up with with episode clubs in the future because Sassy Stanza isn't smart enough to realize that she's running out of time before we talk about season 8 episodes. So we're going to do them more frequently. Who knows? We may do one tomorrow, which will be Val Magulis, and that'll probably be a shorter one because got to get pumped those out. But we're going to have bigger episodes all the time, and Wednesdays will still stay Wednesdays because we have Wednesdays all the time. So we'll have Wednesdays and just a few more days sprinkled in. I'll let everyone know, obviously, when the official days are, but we hope to have a weekend day so that we can have more people show up and more people add to this conversation. But yeah, you can find me here, obviously. You can find me always on Johnny's channel, it seems, because we've got Vikings going on, we've got other streams going on. Well, we have Cylon Johns. Yeah, we've got so much stuff. Fire and Blood will be coming up on Friday. Fire and Blood streams. Yeah, we got so much going on. Still a little time, and this episode is awesome. The next one we're going to talk about, I don't know exactly when, maybe tomorrow, is Valar Morghulis. The season finale of season 2. We're already here. Coming up, and it's awesome. And I want to thank everybody who showed up in the chat today, from Sasuke to Bray, the Bearded Builder, to Attila Angel, Bobby Catalano, John St. Baptiste, Julianne89, someone named Johnny B. Crazy. We had Nancy T, the Hound's girlfriend. We've got AU Pac Mule, so many people in the chat. Bobby Catalano, Chrissia Voltjones, AU Pac Mule, OTDA. So
You see, except the Shining Secrets.
Which one?
Stranger Things, 14 question marks.
Yeah, well, yes. I have my Stranger Things episode 1 reaction edited. I just have to put the stupid thing on the internet, and then we'll be good to go because we'll do all of that. And yeah, we got Luke from Big I'm just saying secrets.
Fans demand it.
Yes. Attila Angel. We have so many lovely people joining us today. And yeah, we've had the Pop Couple, which is they're a Funko Pop channel. So if you like BBM's walls when he films his videos, check out the Pop Couple. They have many, many, many more. They even have the George R. R. Martin Pop and the D&D Pops, even though they don't really collect Game of Thrones. They just have the George Pop. But we've had so many people today, and I have to now go back and watch pretty much what everybody said in the chat when we were rambling about John and Danny. But thank you so very much, everybody, for joining us today, and we will see you all in the next one. Bye.
Holla for $1.